Welcome to Module 4 of the Insight and ProWiFi training course. In the last module, we looked at how to set up an Insight Pro or Premium account based on your organisation, location and user functions, based on their role within the project, as well as explain the concept of the license key and how devices are credited and allocated to the license to keep those devices operational. Let's once again have a quick reminder of the overall objectives for the course before we move on. In this module, we'll be focusing on how to onboard devices and how to configure a network. Now, like all software designs, there are many paths to accomplishing this task. So to keep things straightforward in this training, we'll follow just one particular path, which is to first onboard and set up a network switch to form the backbone of the entire network. The next job is to onboard the wireless access points by connecting them to the switch. And finally, we need to configure the network switch and access points to create our wired and wireless networks. We've set up our Insight account and we've added our licenses, so let's move on to the onboarding process. Go to the location, in the sense of the Insight hierarchy, where you want to add the device, and then click the Add Device button to add devices. If you're using the Insight Cloud portal, enter the serial number and MAC address, or simply scan the QR code or barcode from the smartphone application. Now it's time to connect the device to the network, and it's important to remember that Insight is a cloud management platform, so you will need internet access throughout. In our example, we're onboarding the network switch first because we need the switch to connect to our access points. As we've already determined, the switch forms the backbone to our main network. After connecting to the switch, Insight will update the firmware as required before rebooting the device. And once the device is fully booted back up again, we're ready to onboard it. We wait for the cloud LED to come on, unless the device is mobile hotspot, which don't have the cloud LED, and the device now shows up as connected in the device list on the portal or app. The next important step of creating our network is to carefully plan the SSIDs and VLAN requirements. You can learn more about SSIDs in the Introduction to Wireless Networking course here on the Academy. And VLANs are explained in the VLAN course within the NETGEAR Switching for AV over IP section, and you'll find a link to both these courses within the Resources section of this page. For now, let's quickly recap on what these terms mean. The Set Service Identifier, or SSID, is the name of the Wi-Fi network, and it's the name which pops up on your device when you search for networks. The user enters the Wi-Fi network by selecting the SSID and providing the correct password. Once on the Wi-Fi network, the user has joined the entire network, which includes the wired network. A VLAN, or Virtual Local Area Network, is widely used by network engineers to divide a local area network into multiple subnetworks, allowing for the separation of network hosts to better manage the overall security of that network. When creating VLANs, we strongly recommend binding SSIDs to specific VLANs based on the security consideration of the project. You can see from this example diagram exactly how that has been done, by using VLAN and SSID binding to divide a LAN into multiple VLANs to grant Wi-Fi access only to the authorized VLANs. Even more importantly, and as we've kind of proven the point right here, is that you should always design and plan your network topology before you start, and you should definitely watch the Importance of Network Design course right here on the Academy to refresh your network design skills. You'll find a link in the Resources section. The old saying that failing to plan is like planning to fail has never been so true in the networking world. And the great thing about having a clear network design or plan is how much easier it makes the configuration implementation and troubleshooting of a network. Configuring the VLANs on Insight is a straightforward process. However, it does still require you to be familiar with VLAN terminology, such as trunk and access ports. On the Insight user interface, we go into Location, then Wired, and use the plus button to add a VLAN. Enter the VLAN information, define which ports are to be used as access ports and trunk ports. Identify which SSID is to be associated with this VLAN before clicking the Add button to complete the process. We've onboarded our network switch into Insight, so now we're ready to onboard our access points. The onboarding process for Insight managed access points is very similar to that of the switches and can be done via the Insight Cloud portal using the serial number and MAC address, or from the Insight app on a smartphone by scanning the QR code or barcode. It's important to make sure that you connect each Wi-Fi access point to the specific Ethernet port on the switch, which you have assigned for the appropriate VLAN. This is where your all-important network design plan comes into play. Make sure that the VLAN, SSID and Ethernet ports are all matching your network plan, because this will not only verify the success of your design, it will prove invaluable for any future maintenance or troubleshooting. Once connected, you will see your access points appearing on the devices list, and by selecting wireless to set up the Wi-Fi network and clicking the setting button, you can now configure each VLAN one at a time with the options available to you on the left menu bar. We'll be covering the captive portal option in Module 5, and we'll cover services and reports and the MAC ACL, rate limiting, advanced rate selection and other advanced configurations in Module 6, customizing Wi-Fi settings. Up to now, we've been onboarding devices one at a time. However, you'll recall at the beginning of this module that there's also the option to onboard multiple devices at once. As a managed service provider, you're able to pre-configure the devices at a central location like the NOC or Network Operating Center before connecting the devices on site. Once connected, Insight will then automatically push down the configuration based on the serial numbers of the devices used. This example allows us to select Add Multiple Devices and download the file template, which allows the devices to be uploaded. And you can see that it's possible to upload up to 1,000 devices at once, making this option particularly useful for network engineers who need to onboard multiple access points or mobile hotspots each time. Before you head over to the quick quiz, let's recap what we've covered in this module. We've walked through the typical onboarding process to understand how to set up a network and onboard devices, and clarified some important housekeeping principles to make the process as smooth and future-ready as possible, such as designing and planning your network by drawing out a detailed network map, onboard the switch or switches, and setting up VLANs and SSIDs under the Wired tab before onboarding your access points and setting up your specific Wi-Fi settings under the Wireless tab before finishing off your network configuration. Don't forget to take the short module quiz to check your understanding, and when you're ready, I'll see you in the next module.